Namaste. Good day. We are Johar, and we are here without a topic today for the first time in many, many channelings. We are here simply to connect with you and to perhaps give you guidance and help in whatever ways you wish. So, first thing we want to say is everyone here is on the verge of a large change in their lives. You already feel that, do you not? Mm-hmm. Yes. Even if you didn't speak it earlier when you were talking to the channel, you felt it. You felt that things are becoming so chaotic and so bad in many parts of your world that this cannot go on the way it has. Correct?
Correct.
Yes. And you are true. As we have said many times over many, many, many years, what is happening is a slow process. What is happening for the world to awaken is very slow. And as the light gets brighter, the dark gets darker. And it becomes more and more divided. And that is what is happening now. Those who are in the very, very early stages of incarnating that we call baby souls and infant souls and some young souls who are trapped in the cage of materiality of the physical world. And they are afraid to come out of their cages, afraid to come out of their bubbles. But they are finding a voice throughout your world, and they are creating chaos and fear. But have heart, take heart. It will not always be like this. There will be an evening out. There are better times coming. But unfortunately, there will always be some dark pockets. As long as there are younger souls who haven't awakened to their true divine source, there will always be war. Ever since human beings became human beings, there has been war. Always. There has never been a time on your planet that has had extended peace. And nor will there ever be, because there will always be new souls coming in. And new souls are interested in competition and survival. Your physical body is concerned only with physical survival. And of course, that means territorialism. That means tribalism, and so on and so forth. Now, you are very, very old souls. What happens when you reach a certain point, and we speak of you as your divine source, that source of you that is eternal, that source of you that is not concerned with survival, for you cannot die. You cannot be expunged. You cannot go away. You are there, growing stronger and stronger and more in the light every moment. And at a certain time in your wheel of incarnations, where you share a body, a physical body, which you do now, you take up residence in a physical body, and you're just renting these molecules. At first, when you first come into human form, you're pretty asleep. You don't really know. You don't really have an awareness of self yet, and you're not awake. You came from that part of the universal beingness that is not yet self-aware. That is the purpose of it. God, as you call it, or the universal consciousness, or whatever you want to call it, is becoming more self-aware through you. But it takes time for that. And after a certain number of cycles around, you start waking up and you start going, oh, I know who I am. I know who I am and I know where I'm going. But your physical body goes, no. I'm in charge. And you go, no, I'm in charge. That is the Armageddon. Your scriptures, some of your scriptures talk about an Armageddon time, and it's not about a great global war or a universal war or any of that sort of thing, although it could be at some time. But it talks about that struggle as you awaken and try to take charge of your existence and move away from the smaller world of materiality, of physical living, and concern only with your clan, with your tribe, with your family, and with survival. Now you have passed that. You are all awake. Well, some more awake in this room than others, but still you are awake and you know who you are, even if you are still not sure what that even means. But you are. You are awake and you are saying, what is my purpose here? What is my path? How can I best use this body that I am in order to make this a better place to be, a better world, a better universe? Not that you let go of survival, because survival of the body is an important thing. You need to be in your body for as long as you can and keep it as viable as you can, because this is where you learn. This is where you can do the best work for mankind, or humankind, for animals, for the planet, for plants, for everything. This is what where you can do your best work. So you want this body to be viable and to be as healthy as possible. Although even if it does have health problems, it doesn't affect your ability as an eternal soul to make to do things, make the world better. Even if it is simply through certain meditations or certain healing modalities, or certain ways of supporting others. Your physical body still has a role. The physical body decides the things that are important for the physical world. It tells you when to eat. It tells you to wear clothing. It tells you how to drive. It tells you how to nurture and care for your loved ones, and how to find shelter, and how to turn on a faucet, and all those things. Those are your physical body concerns. Your physical body takes care of the physical world. But since you are awake, it no longer makes the big decisions. It no longer traps you in fear. It no longer externalizes a deity. It no longer is afraid of change, or afraid of ideas that are not in line with yours, whereas the physical consciousness is. Does this make sense to you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Do you have questions about this? Yes.
I have one. What can we do to help bring in more of this higher energy, to help with more, whether it's peace or evolvement on the earth? I mean, it might be as simple as channeling, I don't know, but I thought I would ask.
Oh, it can be channeling, it can be meditations, it can be doing good works in the world. It can be just sitting every day at a certain time, or before you go to sleep, or when you wake up in the morning, and sending light out into the world. It's just a tiny, tiny drop in the ocean, but the ocean is made up of tiny drops. There are many things. You can start charities, you can help others, you can help open minds, you can do many things. Well, whatever is in harmony with your ray and your filters. For each time you come into a body, you apply certain filters, certain overleaves, some people call them, that allow you to see and experience the world in a certain way. And you can see that in your astrological chart. And some people work out of the negative, lower form of that, not old souls, but old souls generally use the higher, brighter energy of each overleaf. As an example, if just using your language that can describe two different facets of the same thing, you can be stubborn or you can be determined. So everyone has those, and everyone, when you first incarnate, you incarnate as a large. There were no boundaries, but since we are in the physical world, we must use mechanical terms, like a large cell of light, sparks that separate out into many different sparks and inhabit many different beings. And each one grows independently, evolves independently spiritually. And then at the very last, you come back together. To put it very, very simply, it's more complex than that, but very simply. But you always have a connection with your other sparks, both from past lives or now. And each one of your sparks has a unique identification that you carry with you throughout all of your evolution. Again, that's a very broad sweep of a very complex system. So, going beyond that to your personal, you said something about Abraham Lincoln.
Yes, I did.
Yes. Abraham Lincoln was an old soul. He is what we call a server soul. His soul, server soul. Your language is fun sometimes. His divine beingness, his divine source, who he was, came in an array of everything he did, no matter, even if he did wrong things sometimes. So he made mistakes. He wasn't a saint, but he was ambitious and did some things that perhaps he would have regretted later. But overall, he was there to serve mankind, to serve humans, to serve in the way he could, to make it a place that was better. And of course, he was killed for it. But we do want to take a moment to address this idea that was popular once in your metaphysical and esoteric cultures and died out and is now becoming more popular again, and that is the concept that everything is happening all at once. You've heard of this?
Yes.
As Simon would say, and he is wanting to say it now, no, that is not the way it works, and we know because this is where we live. It does not happen all at once. What would be the point of that? If everything is planned, why are you even here? What would be the point? There's no point to that at all. There's no reason. There's no logic to that. No, it does not happen all at once. However, when you realize that you cannot die and you will never die and you were never born, there is no sense of linear time. Because as a human being, you measure a life from the time you are born to the time you can walk and speak and be educated and grow up and become an adult and then become an old person and die. You have finite existence as a human. Everything on your material world has a finite existence. Even if it seems to be eternal, like a mountain, that mountain is eroding and changing constantly, just too slow for you to see it. So it seems as if everything is happening here, and it does. But if you don't have that filter, if that is taken away, and you have no past, because you have only been awake, a relatively short time, but you will never die. You're always going to be around. And so our perspective of time is very different. Your lives to us are like that, on and off, very, very quickly. To speak to you and to relate to you as humans, we must change our perspective and slow it down. So that is where that idea comes from, that everything happens at once. What was it? Your Einstein even said that time is relative. Time sitting in a lecture that you're not interested in seems to take forever. An hour seems to stretch to a year. But if you're sitting in a chair listening to something you're very interested in, it seems to go very fast. And that has to do with the physical brain, not with whether time exists or not. Time exists. Linear time exists. And yet, it is relative. It is your experience of it that changes. There was a time when the universe did not exist, and then it did. There was a time when this galaxy was here, and now it is here. So you listen to those if you wish, but keep in mind that it's simply a lack of understanding of the way you experience time. Any questions about that?
Okay, I'll ask a question about time.
Yeah.
Will there be a time when we'll be able to travel back and forth in time ourselves?
To recreate things in the material world, to put molecules together that are no longer there, is what you're talking about?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
But you will be able to experience the past in a holographic way, and the future in a holographic way, which is somewhat in the way we do. We look at you and we look at your future and understand that your future, perhaps this path is the strongest one with you, since this is where you have made decisions in your life that will put you where you are now along this path. But there are always offshoots. You can always make a different decision because your brain and your personality, physical personality and spiritual personality, are capable of making decisions. Of making decisions. And of course, those decisions are predicated on many other factors that came to that decision, such as shall I get back into being a shaman? Yes, and the answer is yes. This would be an extraordinarily powerful place for you to be. Yes, but you will not be a shaman in the way you were in the past. There are new things. Now, you can get to that point and you can make a decision to stick to what you learned, and that will take you in a different path. Or you can become, you can change and alter it in a way that is more in keeping with what you're feeling now, and that will be a different path. So the thing about alternate universes comes from that idea that you have many choices. And yet, your decision to go this path, the hologram is still there. And so it is not just like a flat path, it is more like a tangled web, and or a holographic web of choice points and paths. And each time you do make a decision, if you put enough energy into it, there will be a holograph of that one. And if you switch over again, there will be a holograph of that one, and so on and so on and so on. So you can go into the future holographically, but not actually in the chemistry of it. So, did you have a question? Other than what we were just speaking of.
Talking about. Yes, which way to go, what to do, what sign should I look for to open up what it is I want to bring?
So you're asking your physical brain, your physical self, what we call the personality self, to make spiritual decisions.
Yes.
Our advice is to stop fretting about it and just do it. Understanding that you have all the time in the world. If you don't finish your accomplishment in this life, you will simply decide to do it again or not. For you have reached that point when you leave this body that you will have a choice to come back or not to come back. It depends on how well you use your abilities and skills to get clear of emotional baggage that all humans carry. And that emotional baggage is from before your divine source takes charge. As you grow up with your family and your parents or whatever childhood you had, teachers, beliefs that you accepted in your life and so on, you build a map of survival. And those include things such as naturally things such as guilt and anger and competition and shame and blah 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 blah. If you know tarot, you know the Fool card that holds the bag. That's all the stuff you want to take out, unpack, and free. Then you're truly free. But until then, you need to look at those things. But as far as your path goes, which will help you do that, go with what feels right, not what is logical, not what other people say, not what is traditional, not what your teacher said was true, where you're going to find some truths for yourself. So stop worrying about it. Just do it. And it will fall into place. If you need physical world things such as a place to do it and permits and licenses or whatever baloney they give you, your physical brain will figure that out because that's about survival. You focus on the work.
Okay.
What do you want to know?
Everything and nothing. Makes sense.
Well, everything is not what you think it is, and nothing is everything.
Not necessarily just my peers, but like my peers in the outside world. Is not holding it against others when they don't understand things in a way that I do, or not feeling inferior or dejected just because I'm not where they are quite. Understand.
So comparison to others. Yes, but this is only the rented molecules you're comparing.
Yeah.
You are an eternal being, and you are brighter than you think. Yes, you have a past life, especially affecting this one, where you were falsely imprisoned. This was in somewhere in Europe, perhaps Spain, perhaps the 16th century. And prison in there was not quite the way prison is in today, and you were thrown in a cell in a hole and forgotten except for inedible food being thrown at you once a day. And you died there. And you died, and you were imprisoned because it was you disagreed with the powers that be in the government at that time, a political prisoner. But in there, you discovered a spiritual self that you didn't know even existed. And you embodied, at that time you were a Catholic, of course, and you embodied the Christ consciousness within. And that is when you allowed yourself to let go of your body. But you've carried a lot of that sort of resentment and things with you. And so this is time, it is perhaps a good time for you to do some practices of getting clear and freeing yourself. You can do that through many ways, through meditations, through understanding that you are separate from those things and asking for help from whatever beings you believe in releasing them. You can do it through energy work from yourself or from someone else. It will be a little slow start, but you have a natural gift for it. So they do not understand because they cannot understand. It is like resenting a 4-year-old for not being able to do algebra. They are simply not mature enough yet to understand things outside of their narrow band of rules and laws for themselves. And they judge others as being bad or evil or less than in many ways because of this. And simply realize that they are infants spiritually.
Yeah.
And they don't have to believe the way you do.
Yeah.
And they don't have to approve of you, for their approval is dust in the wind. Now, understanding that intellectually and letting go of those patterns within you, that's a different thing. You can do it. You can do it.
Okay.
Anything else from you?
Hi. I was wondering if you could tell me if I'm on the right path, spiritually, and then maybe something about a past life.
Okay. Well, first of all, if you're on a spiritual path at all, that's right. Is that the one you will stay with? That is up to you. Any path that you are on is right for you the time you're on it, as long as you realize that when you have reached a point where you have accumulated or learned or gathered as much as you can from that method of believing or being, it's all right to just drop it and leave. Loyalty is not required on a spiritual path. Loyalty to your growth is. There will be come a time in every spiritual path where you will go, I think I'm not getting as much out of this as I used to. Then go to something else. Or go to nothing until the something else appears. What path are you speaking of that you want information on?
I'm really into just kind of embracing being a self-aware consciousness in a physical body and trying to manifest or create my own reality through my thoughts and my feelings.
And how are you doing that?
I'm doing it through meditations and just changing the way that the way that I think and that I act, and it seems to be going very well.
How can that be wrong?
It doesn't feel wrong, but at the same time, I'm programmed to think a certain way. So
And what certain way would that be?
That I'm crazy, or
You two need to talk. You are crazy. That's a good thing. You are crazy in the good way. You're crazy in the way that says, look at all these people who are living like robots. I don't want to live that way. I know that I am a divine being. They do not know that. Poor things. If you have a pet, like a cat or a dog or a parrot or even a lizard, whatever, do you judge that being for not understanding that they are divine? No. Yeah. When other people judge you as being crazy because you don't kneel down and profess your guilt in front of a golden idol or some kind, go with what you're doing. Now, this path will lead you. There will come a time, as we were seeing, when you will make a change. Not letting go of what you're doing, but adding to it in a different way. Perhaps from an external teacher or a philosophy that you hadn't considered before. Allow yourself the flexibility to move around.
Well, one question that kind of comes up. I've been interested in learning about different things.
Different things,
Spiritual.
not the
medical.
same things.
Same things, different things. Different comes into it. I come across something and it's not like squirrel, but it's close enough to want to learn it. But in doing this, and some of it too, I'm interested, can use it now, but I feel more like I'm in college and then I'm preparing for later.
Yes.
Is that what I am doing? But yeah, and I have a strong desire to help people.
Mm-hmm. You are a server soul, after all.
That and warrior.
Yes.
But I'm a Gemini, so I'm always dual.
Server souls are very, very brave. Queen Victoria was a server soul, for example.
Does the warrior part come up more in defense? It's more like as a provider, as a protector.
Yes.
That's what I have felt.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been times that instead of running away, I would go forward.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I know what the
Server
heck.
souls are not weak.
Yeah. Okay.
The world needs more server souls. For that, those people are sometimes very fierce in their drive to make this a better world and to protect people who are helpless or vulnerable. So sometimes that's mistaken for warrior soul. But no, warrior soul is just to say, where's the fight? I'm in.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes. There's nothing we can say that you don't already know
So, pretty much.
at the moment. Just keep up what you're doing and allow yourself to continue expanding the way you are. You're getting clear, which is the job for every old soul. But that is what makes you be able to move on. Getting rid of all of the garbage, unbundling the fool's bag, the fool's wallet, the fool's bundle, whatever you want to call it, and moving forward and stepping off the cliff. That is the old soul. Like, all right, I'm ready. Let's see what happens. If I let go of all this stuff, who am I? Just continue doing that.
Thank you.
Is Sybil around?
You want to speak? You wish to speak with Sybil?
I would, if I may.
Good afternoon.
Glad to meet you, Sybil.
Is it afternoon? We never know.
Okay, afternoon, morning. It's all good. I have a question from a perspective of a female voice of an entity. Is that I feel like I've accomplished everything I came to Earth to do, except for completing my left side is affected. So can I have advice on how to really upgrade that divine feminine so I'm balanced? Because I think I have a little too much testosterone.
Yes, working in the ways you are working with energy, in a wide variety, whatever you feel is right for you, and rejecting though if that energy work comes with any kind of a ideology or philosophy. Just take the pure energy. As a female, we come from a long line of females. The female energy is so powerful, and yet it has allowed itself to be subjugated in so many ways throughout your history. Embrace that yin, embrace that powerful goddess energy that you are, and allow it to move through your body evenly instead of getting stuck behind brick walls. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, and I've been working on that for a while, Sybil. I'm not sure
Continue.
how to do that.
Continue. Just with your intent is all you need.
Okay.
You don't need a philosophy, you don't need a dogma, you don't need a theocracy, you don't need steps, you don't need rules. Just your intent. And allow energy, subtle energy, divine energy, to help you with that.
Thank you.
And it is all right to have others help you with it, too. Just remember that do not also buy their theories.
Yes.
Unless it fits with you. If it fits with you, fine. But most of the time it will not. Most of the time it is a masculine inculcated theories or dogma or rules and so on.
Consciousness decided to start this whole extravaganza.
Oh,
The circus.
the circus. It isn't always a circus on other planets. This is the biggest circus around. And that is because there is such a diversity of soul ages. On other planets, the diversity is a little less. So people are mostly in the same club, but not completely. But other planets also are warring and full of strife too. But on Earth, there are souls from all over the universe. Not just here, but from planets that were destroyed, galaxies that were destroyed. Many of them want to come here, to your planet, because growth is faster. Because it is so hard. Strive. You don't become complacent. Why it was all started is something that is beyond my scope, beyond the scope of all of us here. And but we can say, as we said earlier, originally the Creator, which is you are all molecules in the Creator's existence, was only barely aware, self-aware. Everything just was. And there's always, in all living beings, all living things, and the universe and your Creator, as you call it, is a living thing. There is a drive to grow and to develop, to become self-aware, to transform the darkness into light. And so little by little, parts are sent into physical form to become self-aware and then rejoin the all that is. And we will say that why and how this works after the level that we exist in, we don't know. We perhaps know a great deal more than the people we speak with, because you are still trapped in physical form, but we are not at the end. We don't know. We only know that it will be a welcome thing as we continue to grow and develop too. Sorry, we could not answer your question. We can make something up if you want.
I appreciated your answer. That was a validation.
Did anyone here think everyone approves of them?
No, and it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
They
matter.
don't know what I do at work.
It doesn't matter. Unless it does matter. If it matters because you're in danger, or if it matters because there is a reason, a real reason, to step in and try to change this person's opinion of you, for whatever reason that is, then you have a decision to make. But generally, overall, we will say, gather with like-minded people, pay attention to those people who respect you and love you and care about you and approve of you and so on, and the rest, leave them to themselves. It doesn't matter. Unless you're a politician, then that's different. So, other questions?
So this construct that we live in, created by the source of all that is, like as human beings fear death usually, but there is no death because we are
Well, there is
eternal.
death of the physical form.
But it's not eternal. It's just this meat sack.
Meat sack is a good one, yes. We think we've used that before, actually.
Or avatar. I think that's popular now.
Well, avatar is a different thing altogether. An avatar is a completed group of souls, which means that all the souls in that group have reached the stage of letting go, of enlightenment, you might call it. And sometimes they will join with other groups to come together in one body as a world teacher. And that is rare.
Can you volunteer?
It is a volunteer.
So you volunteer to go into that.
The groups are all completed. They have no sparks left in the physical. And they come together in one body to become a world teacher or a world leader.
I love that.
That's an avatar.
I want to be one.
That doesn't mean every guru is an avatar. Most
Yeah.
gurus you will encounter are lovely beings, but they have their own prejudices and ignorances. And sometimes they have an elevated experience of their enlightenment. But you can always learn from people who are one step on the ladder ahead of you, can't you? Just don't buy into everything. All right. So we will say thank you for allowing us to be of service to you. But before we do, did you have a question?
Do you have something you want to share with me?
That's a trick question. Later. Namaste.
Namaste.